Howdy crew. I'll have to talk quiet. My lady is sleeping. You remember this? 5th scale servo greatness. Twin 5th scale servo greatness on a clodbuster. Probably the world's only ever. And probably the world's only ever clodbuster with a 5th scale servo, let alone 2 of them. So I'm going to pause it and go show you some other 5th scale servo greatness I just came up with for a different truck that really needs it. Check this out. Alright, well, you remember this bad boy. This is the TRX4 stretched on Ryft axles, and you notice something is missing from the front of it, conspicuously. I don't know why this camera's not focusing. Clean the lens up a little bit. Check this out. 5th scale servo mount on a steel Vidavon Ryft, RBX10 Ryft axle. Check that out. That is a 1/4 inch mild steel plate that I cut a servo mount out of. You can see its shape there is roughly the shape of the servo itself. It's pretty rudimentary and rough, but it works. M4 carbon steel bolts holding it, and then I've got 2 M4 carbon steel nuts and bolts holding it on the steel servo 110 scale servo mount that is built into the axle. It's a solid axle piece right there, so you can't change it much. And then I've got 1 carbon steel M3 right there for like a triangulated hold on the axle. And then you can see I had to put like a little bend in the steering link here to kind of clear this jazz up here, but it does make full steering lock to lock, no problem. And this is a 3S, 150 kilogram. That's 2,000 inches of steering torque. And I'll show you. This is a very heavy axle, 3.8 beadlock, aluminum wheels, steel axle housing, Vidavon portals, all Vidavon internals. Each wheel and tire weighs almost 1.5 pounds, so not light. And you see how strongly this is mounted. I can just pick the whole thing up by the servo, no problem, and manhandle it. And there is absolutely zero bend or flex in that situation. So I'm thinking it'll have no problem putting out all that torque straight into the drive system. Well, I'll show you how it looks at full lock. Hold on one sec. Alright, sorry about that. This servo is extremely hard to turn by hand. Hold on. That's full lock to the left. And you can see I am no problem with the clearances there. Just barely make everything nicely. It's actually tighter on the other direction. And I'll show that to you. Okay, here's full lock in the opposite direction. You can see I'm not going to have to throw this servo very far, which means I could move it back one and get a little bit more torque, but I'm not sure that I'll run into some of that stuff there. I may just have to shorten this M4. I had to just put a longer one in there because I didn't have a shorter one, so I had to washer it up a little bit there, but that won't be necessary if I just cut the end off of that M4. But here's the full lock. You can see nothing is touching. I mean, it might, no, yeah, those are loose.